You already heard the letter. You already heard him say he was not human. You already saw an entire city obey a written threat. That moment is unforgettable. But the Axeman did not begin with that letter. When he wrote it, he had already been inside people's homes. He had already crossed doors, hallways, bedrooms. He had already proven something much more disturbing than any supernatural claim: that he could enter quietly and leave alive. Before there was a name, there were only acts, nighttime attacks, forced entries, blows to the head, in some cases axes, in others guns, knives, blunt objects. And here is something that matters more than certainty. Historians do not fully agree. Some cases fit perfectly into what would later be called the Axeman pattern. Others resist categorization. Details shift, weapons change, outcomes vary. That does not weaken this case. It strengthens it. Because fear, real fear, does not begin with clarity. It begins with confusion. No one knows the exact night when it started, and maybe no one ever will. But by the early 1910s, something was already moving through New Orleans, quietly, without a headline, without a mythology. Many of the victims shared something in common. They were Italian immigrants, shopkeepers, families who lived where they worked, homes that followed routines. They were not wealthy. They were not powerful, but they were visible, open early, closed late, predictable. And someone noticed that. We don't know how long the Axeman watched. Days, weeks, longer. But patterns like this are never rushed. He didn't enter at random. He chose. Joseph and Catherine Maggio. That night changed everything. First the throat, then the axe. Not an axe he carried with him, an axe he found inside the house. And that detail matters more than most people realize, because it tells us this was not improvisation. It was a decision. The weapon was not the message. The message was that the house itself had betrayed them, that the place designed to protect you could be turned against you. After their deaths, something shifted. The city didn't just hear about a crime, it registered it. Then came the chalk message, cryptic, cold, referencing a woman most people had already forgotten. It implied continuity. This had happened before, and it would happen again. June, August, September, different addresses. Same silence, homes entered without struggle, victims who woke only at the moment of pain, others who remembered flashes but were not believed. Sometimes the man survived, sometimes the woman, sometimes no one could explain why. Axes left behind, bloody, untouched. Not trophies, not mistakes. Certainty, the certainty that he left on his own terms, and that he knew the city was now waiting. People focus on the axe, but the axe was never the point. The real modus operandi was simpler and much more terrifying. Enter without permission. Use what was already there. Take nothing of value. Leave the weapon behind. No signature meant to be collected. Only a reminder. I was here. I left when I wanted. And I can return. Some survived. And survival came with its own punishment. Women accused of hysteria. Testimonies dismissed as delirium. Suspicions circling the same names again and again. The Axeman did not end his violence when the attack ended. The damage lingered. In disbelief. In shame. In fear that had no name. Police tried to imagine him. White, working class, physically capable, an experienced burglar. Others spoke of compulsion, impulse, a man who could live normally until something inside him demanded violence, a divided life. But none of that explains what came next. When the Axeman finally wrote, he no longer needed blood. Now, he was directing. The letter was not chaos. It was performance. He claimed he was not human. Not because he believed it, because it elevated him. He set a rule, a date, an exception, jazz, and then he watched. That night, New Orleans obeyed. Music poured into the streets, into homes, into silence itself. Dance halls were full. Windows stayed open. Sound became protection, and nothing happened. No attacks, no deaths, just relief mixed with terror, and that was enough. The attacks did not end forever. They returned. Sporadically. Disputed. Messy. But something had changed. Fear no longer needed reinforcement. The city had learned the pattern. Names appeared. Joseph Mumfree among them. Too perfect. Too clean. Records contradict each other. Timelines collapse under scrutiny. Today, most historians consider that theory an urban legend, a need to end the story, to put a face where chaos lived. So what was the Axeman really? Not a demon, not a confirmed individual, not a ghost. It was a dynamic, a killer who understood something essential. Fear is strongest when it is shared. New Orleans was not only a target, it was the stage. That is why he still appears, not as a copy, but as a structure in criminal minds. In American Horror Story, killers who write, who impose rules, who turn the audience into participants. The ritual survives. Maybe we will never know who the Axeman truly was. And maybe that question protects us, because there is another question that is far more dangerous. Why did it work? Why did an entire city listen? And the answer is simple. Because for one night, people needed to believe that music could save them. And believing felt safer than sleeping in silence.